Picture this. You spend a hard day at work. You're tired and you just want to go back home. Heavy feet, aching bones, you reach the door. Only in that precise moment, you realize that you don't have your keys with you. Oh no, maybe you left them on the desk, or maybe they're inside and I didn't realize, you think. So there you are, facing a closed door, blocking you from being able to finally rest. What do you do? Simple. Aim for the legs. Welcome, people of the internet. I'm Maxwell, or Max for short, and today I'm gonna waste some of your time talking about a game that's odd, for sure. Just a quick warning for anyone who might be interested, this is going to be a general yapping session about the game, so beware of spoilers. Fear and Hunger is a dark fantasy horror dungeon crawler game with RPG elements that's characterized by its often disturbing lore, unforgiving gameplay, to the point to feel like a roguelike at times, puzzle-like fights that heavily reward your knowledge of the enemies in the various scenarios, and the fact that it's rich of vitamin D. The game takes place in the Kingdom of Rondon, a country in what could be considered a fictional world, heavily inspired by our own. Rondon is essentially England and France combined, and that explains many things. The game itself doesn't actually revolve around the kingdom, but rather the dungeons of Fear and Hunger. That could be loosely summarized as dark ruins, repurposed as prisons from the kingdom, built on top of ancient ruins, caves, and what is known to some as the city of the gods, Mahavra. All of this makes it sound like a classic edgy D&D campaign, yet Fear and Hunger is something special. It has that X factor that for some reason makes someone like me, a person who despises everything that's horror but love dark fantasy, to play in the middle of the night just to uncover more of that game's sinister secrets. And this is something that could be said not just about Fear and Hunger, but also its sequel Termina, that I possibly love even more than the first installment. However, I don't want to spend too much time talking about Termina. I have another, much longer video planned for it. The one thing that I will say is that I fell in love so much with this game series that I find myself waiting for Miro to drop the Termina update with the same passion and trepidation of me waiting for Miyazaki to drop yet another Poisonous Swamp. That's a big compliment. Going back to Funga. You embark on this grim adventure as one of the four main classes or characters with the apparent goal of finding Legard, an extremely important figure and captain of the Knight of the Midnight Sun. This leads you to the dungeon that the kingdom is using as prisons, in which Legard is held captive. I don't want to delve too much into the lore of Fear and Hunger, as I want to focus more on the vibes and impact of the game. The thing is, I don't really like horror. I cannot say the word horror. Horror. You get it. I don't like the idea of jump scares or of unsettling beings and wretched monsters. I love dark fantasy. The Soul series is one that I keep close at heart, for instance. Yet, especially when we're talking about movies or even games, especially if we're a first-person point of view, I generally don't really handle it well. When I think of how a place that I don't know could scare me out of nowhere, it discouraged me to explore or interact with it. So media that is typically classified as horror never intrigued me much, out of my own cowardice. Yet, Fear and Hunger, perhaps for its captivating yet simple 2D aesthetics, scratched an itch that I didn't know I had. It made me anxious, scared of opening a door or interacting with a creature. Its body horror, often simple in concept yet well executed, made my curiosity grow stronger rather than being too afraid to interact. The dungeon is sinister, filled with gods and other individuals corrupted and twisted by the darkness. Everywhere you go, there is danger, and fighting is not rewarding you with EXP or anything like that. There is no level to gain, and you can grow stronger by appeasing the old gods or by finding proper gear, but that's not simple. You start the game immediately alarmed by the loud barking in your ears of hounds that are approaching from the mist-shrouded woods of the dungeon. You run inside a structure, and if darkness doesn't scare you, the monstrous creatures will. Some that feel alien and unsettling, others that seem human enough to be uncanny. You struggle to find resources, anxiety rising as your health, hunger, and mind slowly depletes. A sharp sound echoes in your head, and you read, "A terrible presence entered the room." And in the distance you see another enemy, a crow-headed man with a blank stare. You run away, trying to progress more in the depths of the dungeon, and once you feel safe and you find a bed to rest and save, you flip a coin and lose, just for that crow mauler to engage you in a fight and peck your head out, tearing it from your neck. As the title screen hits, signaling your game over, you're left to think of how your body must have fell limp to the ground, another victim of the dungeon. Scared, yet intrigued, you try again. You make your way into the dungeon, dodging the creatures inside, or surviving thanks to the knowledge you have acquired. You take damage, sure, but you can defeat a guard or two if they stop you. The crow mauler, however, you're still not ready to face. You delve deeper, focusing on your goal: abominations, marriages of flesh, wretched beings, prayer circle to the old gods, and statues of the new ones. Priests chant in front of a sacrifice. You delve even deeper. You find a corridor, red with blood and flesh. An elevator is allowing you to go downwards in the dark. Could it be thanks to the lever you pulled before? It doesn't matter. You explore caves, running away from more monsters and sinister figures. You find yourself in the mines, trying not to get caught from phantoms and mutated beings. In those depths, there seems to be a society. Cave dwellers who don't seem hostile, yet stare at you with unsettling blank eyes. Next to what seems to be the mouth of a sleeping god, you find an artifact, one with a luring presence. You take it and run, the cave dwellers now hostile and pursuing you. You manage to cut it short, jumping down with a rope in the dark hole in their village. Here, remains of those who once served the kingdom in the dungeons devour one another, giving in the cult of destruction of Drogorath. Disgusted or intrigued, you move, and you find yourself in the deeper part of the catacombs. After almost depleting all your resources, and barely standing on your feet, you find the Legard. However, he's dead. You were slow, you couldn't reach him in time. Defeated, you look at the ancient door, one that could fit the cube you found. You continue your journey, mentally and physically scarred. At this point, you have accepted that there is no going back. Even if there was, would you even be able to be the same? You continue. You activate a device, open another door, and... what is this place? This city, these shadows, it feels strange. This is not meant for humans. You can sense it crawling under your skin, the presence of the gods, or perhaps just their traces. You walk with an easy step in the streets of Mahavra. knowing that your end will come soon. You... you shouldn't be here. Yeah, yeah, that's surely something. Fear and Hunger has all these vibes, these compelling challenges that feel rightfully unfair, only that you can learn enough to realize that nothing in this game is truly unfair. Extremely punishing and unforgiving for sure, with tons of RNG and luck involved in many things, but as a fellow Italian demonstrated, you can win even if you fail everything, so that's not an excuse. Fear and Hunger is a grim game, with all sorts of pain and heinous acts. It walks that line of horror in which the anxiety doesn't come from something sudden and unexpected, but rather from the things you can see and that you wish you couldn't. It's not that random jump scares. It's the curiosity that pushes you to walk those streets of Mahavra, seeing the white angel chained to a wall, only that after a while, is not there anymore. Where is it? And when you see it walking towards you, well, you're not exactly dancing of joy. Funnily enough, this game has followed a specific trend that I've seen a couple of times, of having a community that's pretty much the mirror of the game's mood. On one side you have Fear and Hunger, on the other side you have shit and giggles. This is especially prevalent with Termina, in which the characters are much more central to the story, and the diverse cast and increased interaction push the community to be even more meme-ish. To be honest, the author himself, Miro, put in the game the Dungeon Knights mode to turn this horror-ish odyssey into a dating simulator. Then again, I see myself in this, like, in this dark, eerie game of old gods, new gods thinking that they know the greater scheme of things, darkness that mutates humans and creatures alike, magic that permeates the sinister streets of the ancient city, and adventurers brought to cut off their limbs in order not to die of infection. In all this torment, I see a dog. The goodest of girls, Moonless, the most trusted of allies. All the fun out with Moonless and the girl are absolutely adorable, and it triggers the primal cuteness aggression that you genuinely wouldn't expect to find in such a dark place. I think you can imagine who my favorite contestant is in Termina. Fear and Hunger is truly unique. It's so grim that you would think it gets stale and overly edgy, but to be honest, I never felt like it did. It was always original in its ways to unsettle me, and always intriguing enough to make me want to explore and discover even when I was terrified of what could happen and what I could find. It's a very rough project, filled with bugs that sometimes allow you to simply find more items than you should, other times are debug spots easily accessible, and well, there is even the random crashes and game-breaking stuff. Despite all of it, this game made me discover in me an appreciation towards more horror-leaning dark fantasy stories that I didn't know I had. It is truly something special, and while it's surely not for everyone, I think it deserves all the success that came to it recently. Well, I think I have glazed this game enough. So, thank you for listening to this yapping session, and see you next time.
La da 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 da.